I want you to imagine the following parable. You are about to purchase your new car. Let's say it's your first car. Now, for those of you who are older, in your 40s or 50s, you probably owned multiple cars before. So just imagine it's your first time owning a car after getting your driver's license. You go to the car dealership and you have a lot of money from your savings account, also money donated to you by your grandparents. You want to purchase a good car, a very good one, a car that you can use for years, probably a decade or two. You don't want to switch cars every year because that's very expensive. You just want a car that will last. So you're there, and there you see the newest models of cars. And you think, whoa, you see models still 3, maybe 4 years ago. But the cars of 4 years ago are just as modern as the cars of this year, but the cars of this year or last year are far more valuable than those of 4 years ago, based on the age alone. So you're there, and there you have this dealer that comes to you, this car dealer, and he points you to a car, and he tells you, sir, or ma'am, if you're a woman, I have a good car for you, just come. You get excited, you go, and when you see the car, you're shocked, you're amazed. And then you look at the dealer, and you think, should I knock this guy out or should I get the heck out of here? What did you see? You saw a car from 1991. The car had broken windows. There was over 80 miles on the counter. So the car was used a lot. And besides that, there was a very bad stench in the car. They used the car a lot to transport drugs, to all kinds of trash with it. But the car appeared nice at the outside because they polished it with some layer of fat that caused the light to reflect on the car, so it appeared as if it was a very fancy car, but it wasn't. You didn't even notice the broken windows at first. So you say to the dealer, no, thank you, sir. Thank you for your advice, but I'll keep on looking. You de-escalated the situation. Some people would have lost their mind and knocked the dealer out, and they would have ended up in jail for a few nights for assault. What happened here? The dealer thought you were so dumb and defective in your mind that you could not see that what he was selling you was trash. He tried to sell trash onto you by having you pay the full price as if that piece of trash was one of the most expensive valuable models around. Of course, a model from 2020 is far superior than a model from 1991 when it comes to gadgets, when it comes to speed, when it comes to how long it can endure. So if you have to pay a high price for a car, you would go for the one from 2020 or maybe from 2015. That's brand new. You're not going for some misused, abused, piece of garbage or rubbish, we could better say, that has been done away with. It has been used and used over and over again, and nobody wants it anymore. But you don't have to pay the full price. Would you fall for that? No. You would look at the context and say, not going to happen. Now, what is this parable about? This parable is about how delusional people want to blackmail you into giving them all of you while they hand out nothing in return. That is what delusional people will do. Delusional people are people who seriously think they're entitled to the best of you while they only dump their negative energy on you. The reason they think you are dumb enough to fall for it is because they have a delusional view of themselves. They have this delusional self-entitled view that they consider themselves worthy to get the best of you without having to be responsible for anything. And such delusional creeps, because they are creeps, they will present themselves in a very quote-unquote honorable or modest way. They will do this just to trick you. Once you are involved with them and you become vulnerable to them and they have a hold on you, now they don't need to pretend anymore. Because now they have a grip on you, so now they can exploit you, now they can use things against you. And now you will see what they exactly are. And they will blame you for falling for it. They will never take responsibility for how they scammed you. That's how they are. So they do wrong, and now they want to blame you, the victim of the wrong they've done onto you, and now they become bitter at you for holding them accountable for what they did to you. There are many people out there who fall victim to such delusional creeps. Now, one thing to remember, just one thing. Just as with a car dealership, you look at what is being offered onto you. You look beyond the glitter. You look beyond the glamour. You look beyond the fancy story of the car dealer, because the car dealer wears a suit and he talks smoothly because he wants your money. That's why he will always exaggerate the importance of what he's selling onto you, because he needs you to purchase the car for him to have an income. So you look beyond all of that and you look at what is being offered onto you, and you ask yourself whether it's able to pass the test of time. With the test of time, I simply mean, will it endure? Will it last? If you see a car at a car dealership and you can see clearly that the car will not last for long, you probably will not purchase the car. So the same way you would deal with purchasing a car, you have to deal with people that offer you something, or people that want to push you into something. Now, you're not treating other people like cars. Absolutely not. I'm not talking about that. But just as you use your natural intelligence when purchasing a car, so you're not robbed nor scammed, the same way you have to use your natural knowledge that you have as a human being to discern what is going on around you. Now, you don't rely on your own understanding, but you do use your own understanding to know what's going on. You rely on Christ, but you use your own understanding as a tool. So, let me give an example. Let's say, okay, this is a very common example. Let's say you're female and you meet this guy and you think that you can have a future together. Don't look at his card he's driving. Don't look at his bank account. Don't look at the 3-piece suit he's wearing. Don't look at his polite and sweet language. Don't look at any of that. First thing you need to ask is he in Christ? Oh, if he's not in Christ, then as a female believer, I'll tell you, let it go. Don't continue with it, because you'll be in trouble. If he claims to be in Christ, then you look at his context. That includes, where is he today? And if you notice that he doesn't have many friends, or if you notice that a lot of people are keeping him at a distance, ask yourself why. Is he a target, or is it that he really did something horrible to others? So you reflect on his past to see what type of individual he or she is. If they were a horrible individual, but they've changed, then you praise they've changed. If they were victimized severely in the past and they are now relieved from the past and realize that they aren't delivered. So that means that whatever is haunting them will also haunt you. That is how you need to examine those you get involved with. Not only when it comes to sexual relationships, but with all types of relationships. Will it last? Look, human beings are not machines, so you won't treat them as machines. What I see, however, is that people tend to be much smarter when it comes to dealing with machines than when it comes to dealing with other people. Look, when a machine has multiple engine failures, you know, okay, I need to get rid of this machine, whether it's a car or an airplane, whatever, because you realize if I continue with this defective vehicle, I'll be in trouble. I can be on the road driving, suddenly the car goes out of power and there's a car accident and I die or other people die or something horrible happens. I don't want that. If it's an airplane, of course you would you will destroy it, because you don't want to be with 300 passengers in the sky and the thing malfunctions. You don't want that. So when it comes to machines, we are very strict. We have very strict laws. But when it comes to dealing with other human beings, we tend to be stupid. I say we in sense of us, a human species. We tend to be very stupid when it comes to dealing with other people. We don't examine what we are dealing with. We don't examine the context in which we met those people. And we often do not pray about the people we encounter. That's the most important thing we forget to do. We do not pray enough. Because if you pray sufficiently and beyond that, I will tell you, no toxic nor dangerous individual will survive around you. Tragedies will flee from you. Misery and sorrow will not be part of your portion. Why? Because you are practical and realistic. But that is something most people just aren't, including many believers. Remember the parable I gave in the beginning of this video. You go to a car dealership and someone wants to sell you an old, used, broken, stinking car, and he wants you to pay the money as if it is a brand new model from 2020. Of course you would think, who is this guy? Who does the guy think he is? That will fall for this. But let me tell you, that parable of that scamming car dealer, most people, including those who know nothing about cars, will likely see through that scam. But in daily life, human beings tend to fall for the most cheapest deceptions. Why? Not because they have no intelligence, not because they are dumb, no, it's just because they don't look at the bigger picture. When you don't look at the bigger picture, you can fall for the most dumbest deceptions. At least in the example of the car dealership, the car dealer made some effort to be convincing. But in daily life, most people fall for deceptions that were not even convincing to begin with. Why? Because they just don't look at the context. When you don't look at the context, it's very easy to fall for something nobody in the right mind would fall for. But because people seldom look at the context, they fall for the worst and most bizarre deceptions. So, what I'm telling you, or better said, I'm reminding you of, believer, is to look at the context. When you see the context, it's easy to examine everything that's part of the context. And remember, when you can't see the context, then you know it's a deception 100%, no doubt about it. Or if you see the context, but the content does not match the context, then you know it's a deception also. Then you know there's something behind it. See the context so you can examine the content. Always do this and agree with Christ.